the Oklahoma newsroom. This is an OSU update. I'm Jenni Carlson. Monday was the first day of two-a-day football practice for the Cowboys, and Kyle Fredrickson joins us on the phone. And Kyle, two-a-days at Oklahoma State, a little bit different maybe than some people would expect. It largely reflects back on the scheduling philosophy that Mike Gundy has had for a lot of years. How does two-a-days work at OSU?
You know, you're exactly right in terms of Mike Gundy kind of bucking the stereotypical trend that, or I suppose the image that a lot of people have of two-a-day practices. I think a lot of people see it as a time to build endurance. You're really working your guys as they prepare for the season. But, you know, as OSU tries to keep its players healthy, really that second session is more or less a walkthrough. So the Cowboys practice for, a little over an hour this morning. They'll go back in, they'll get some treatment, and they'll watch some film and really look at some of the things that they want to correct. And so at about 6 p.m. tonight, they'll go back out to the practice fields and just helmets and T-shirts and shorts and walk through some of the mistakes that they'd seen earlier in the day. So in terms of what it stands for, it's really more just of a teaching tool, fine-tuning technique, as opposed to really getting battered and bruised like I think a lot of people imagine two-a-days being. So, when all this talk is going on about limiting contact days, from the Big 12 for these practices, it really doesn't affect this team at all, and their approach to two-a-days is really evidence of that.
Yeah, Mike Gundy's always been at the forefront of limiting contact, wants to keep guys healthy, wants to keep them fresh, hasn't had a lot of contact even in regular season practice. And Kyle, you mentioned that Monday morning workout of about an hour or so. You had a chance to observe. You've seen several practices as the Cowboys have gotten going during fall camp. What sort of top-of-the-head observations, things that have stuck out to you as you've seen them go through the paces over the last few days?
Well, it's been really interesting to see how some of these position battles are shaping up early in camp. Mike Gundy said after practice today that this team really has more depth than his Big 12 championship team did. And with that depth, you're going to get a lot of qualified guys for a few amount of positions. So it's been really, kind of fun to see which guys are going out with the first team, which guys are going out with the second team. And for me, one of the position groups that stands out the most as of right now is the defensive backs, cornerbacks and safeties. The Cowboys are loaded this year, and they have to figure out which guys they want to put where. And it doesn't seem that, locking one guy into a specific position has been the way that Gundy's gone about it. I think it's been, interesting to see a guy like Ramon Richards, who obviously got a bulk of starting experience last year at corner, take some shifts at safety, take some shifts at some other places, because the Cowboys have enough corners to really field those spots. And, Kevin Peterson, Ashton Lampkin, and Michael Hunter, the Indiana transfer, that I think you just got to find a spot on the field for Ramon Richards. Now, whether that's going to be a safety or corner is yet to be seen, but just the fact that they're getting him some of that experience and seeing where he might fit in best has been something to watch. And obviously the other group that's kind of been on the forefront is running back with Chris Carlson, the JUCO transfer, really coming in and establishing himself as really the power back of that group. But behind him, you got a returning guy in Rennie Childs with a lot of experience. You got Jeff Carr, a true freshman who's really wowed some people, in the return game and on a few runs. So it'll be interesting to see how he fits in, because I think a lot of people saw his size being a smaller guy and that he'd be a redshirt candidate. But when you're out there on the practice field making some plays against some of these experienced returners for the Cowboys, it has to kind of make Mike Gundy think twice about whether or not to save him or get him out on the field next year.
Well, definitely be something to watch as practice moves forward. We know we'll hear more from you about that, Kyle. Be sure to stay with the best coverage team anywhere at newsok.com and every day in the Oklahoman.